Ranking my top 5 point guards of all time, and oh boy, I already know you guys aren't going to like this one. Coming in hot at number 5 with some controversy, I've got Russell Westbrook. Dude's an all-star and all-NBA every single season. He's won the MVP award. He's a triple-double machine. He can get one whenever he wants. I don't want to hear any of this mess about, oh, he's stat pads. If it were so easy, other players would do it. Dude averaged triple-double for 3 straight seasons. That's insane. 4th place, the only other triple-double machine, Oscar Robertson, the Big O. I think everybody would agree he belongs in the top 5 point guards. 3rd place, John Stockton, NBA's all-time leader in assists, one of, if not the best passers in NBA history, and a consistent all-star and all-NBA guy. And number 2 for me has got to be Steph. Dude changed the entire game of basketball at all levels through his shooting. Best shooter the league has ever seen. 3-time champion, 2-time MVP, and surefire Hall of Famer. And the best point guard of all time has got to be Magic, a perennial all-star and all-NBA guy, one of the best passers in NBA history, 3-time MVP, and 5-time champ. Ranking the top 5 shooting guards of all time, the top 2 are pretty obvious, but there's a few surprises in the 3 through 5 range. 5th place, I went with Clyde Drexler. The Hall of Famer was a perennial all-star, made a few all-NBA teams, won a title, and averaged 26 and 6 throughout his career. 4th place, Dwayne Wade, a future Hall of Famer, another guy who was a perennial all-star and a 3-time champion. Could have seen an argument for him at the 3rd spot here, but I'll explain why when I get to the next guy. 3rd, Allen Iverson, another guy who's a Hall of Famer and perennial all-star. I had 2 reasons why I put him above Dwayne Wade. First, AI has an MVP, which Wade does not. And second, AI had one of the most impressive seasons in recent history when he carried the 76ers to the finals. And the top 2 are pretty obvious. Number 2 is Kobe. Every basketball fan knows what the Black Mamba was about, and he's one of the best players in NBA history. And the best shooting guard of all time is obviously MJ. Every basketball fan would agree on that, and I personally think he's the best player of all time. Ranking the top 5 NBA players of all time at each position, here's the small forwards. 5th place, I've got Dr. J. The Hall of Famer was a 16-time All-Star, 4-time MVP, and won an NBA championship. 4th place, Elgin Baylor. I could see an argument for flipping him and Dr. J, but I went with Baylor just because he averaged an insane 28 points and 14 rebounds per game for his entire career. 3rd place, I've got KD. The future Hall of Famer has been a 10-time All-Star, won 2 titles, won an MVP, won 4 scoring titles, and I personally believe he's one of, if not the best scorers in NBA history. 2nd place, Larry Bird. The Hall of Famer was a constant All-Star and All-NBA guy, a 3-time MVP, a 3-time champion, and a top 10 player of all time. And the best small forward of all time has got to be LeBron, a 16-time All-Star, 4-time MVP, 3-time champion, and one of the best players of all time. Ranking the best NBA player of all time at each position, here's the power forwards, and this one was tough. 5th place, Charles Barkley. The Hall of Famer averaged 22 and 12 throughout his career and made 11 All-Star and All-NBA teams and also won an MVP. 4th place, Karl Malone, another Hall of Famer who was a perennial All-Star and All-NBA guy, averaged 25 and 10 for the duration of his career and won 2 MVPs. 3rd place, Kevin Garnett. The Hall of Famer was a 15-time All-Star and 12-time All-Defense, one of the most tenacious rebounders in NBA history, a super intense player, won an MVP and also a championship. Number 2, Dirk, 14-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, an MVP, a league champion, and possibly the best international player the league has ever seen. And the best power forward of all time has got to be Tim Duncan, a 15-time All-Star, All-NBA, and All-Defense, a 5-time champion, and 2-time MVP. Ranking the top 5 NBA players of all time at each position, here's the centers. The top 4 guys were pretty easy to figure out. The order was a little tough, but the top 4 are pretty easy to see. The 5 spot was really tough, though. I could have gone with a lot of guys here. Really considered Hakeem Olajuwon, but I went with David Robinson. The Admiral was a stud throughout his career. He could just do it all. Great rebounder, great shot blocker, won the MVP award, and a 2-time champ. 4th place is Shaq, an absolute legend. He's a 15-time All-Star and 4-time champion, has 3 Finals MVPs and 3 All-Star Game MVPs, and a regular season MVP, an easy choice to make the top 5. Number 3 was really tough, but I went with Bill Russell. Averaged 15 and 23 throughout his career. He was a 5-time MVP and most impressively an 11-time champ. 2nd is Wilt. Averaged 30 and 23 for his career, including a season where he averaged 50 and 27. I know sometimes people hate on his competition, but I don't care who you're playing. Those numbers are crazy. The best center of all time, easily Kareem. I'm out of time, but 6 MVPs and 6 titles.